You see the price tag and your stomach flips. A 65-inch OLED TV for $799. Just 2 years ago, the same screen would have cost you $2,200. The marketing tells you this is the democratization of premium picture quality. The Best Buy salesperson tells you it's the deal of the decade. Reddit threads are full of people calling 26 the year cheap OLED finally arrived. You roll one onto the flatbed cart, you bring it home, you hang it on the wall. 3 months later, something feels off. The blacks aren't quite as deep as the demo unit. The brightness fades in sunlit ribsms. There's a faint smudge in the corner you swear wasn't there last week. And then you start reading the forum threads people post after they buy. Here's the truth about cheap OLED TVs in 2026 that nobody is telling you in the store. Keep watching. Your wallet depends on it. Regret 1? The old that isn't really old anymore? Here's the first trick. Not every TV labeled old in 2026 is the same technology. The premium OLEDs from LG and Sony use what's called WOLED or QD-OLED panel technology, true self-emissive pixels where each pixel produces its own light. The cheap OLEDs hitting warehouse clubs and budget retailers in 2026 often use what's called QD or mini-LED with OLED branding. Backlit panels marketed with OLED terminology but missing the core advantage. Forum users in R4K TV have been flagging this confusion constantly. The store demo looks similar because the showroom lighting masks the difference. At home, in actual viewing conditions, the cheap OLED reveals it doesn't produce true blacks. Dark scenes show a faint gray glow. Starfields look washed out. Letterbox bars during movies show visible light bleed. The mechanism is panel sourcing. True OLED panels are produced by a small number of factories, primarily LG Display. Budget brands often source panels from secondary manufacturers using inferior production processes. A user posting in our home theater described his $899 OLED as looking like a really good LCD, not what I thought I was buying. Now wait until you hear about burn-in. Regret 2. The burn-in risk cheap OLEDs don't protect against burn-in. The old issue everyone's heard about, and most people assume modern OLEDs have solved. Here's the reality. Premium OLEDs from LG and Sony include sophisticated burn-in prevention technology, pixel refresher routines, automatic logo dimming, screensavers, and pixel shifting. Budget OLEDs often skip or reduce these protections to cut costs. Forum users in OLED have posted dozens of burn-in cases on budget OLED models from lesser-known brands. Channel logos permanently visible in the corner, news ticker shadows etched into the screen, game HUD elements ghosting permanently. The mechanism is what panel engineers call differential aging. Old pixels degrade based on how often they're lit at high brightness. Static images, channel logos, scoreboards, taskbars, gaming HUDs burn faster than moving content. Premium OLEDs detect these static patterns and dim them automatically. Cheap OLEDs often don't. A retiree posting in our Costco described his 6-month-old budget OLED as already showing a faint CNN logo permanently in the top right corner. The fix? If you watch a lot of news, sports, or play console games, avoid cheap OLEDs entirely. Stick with LG, Sony, or Samsung premium lines with documented anti-burn-in features. The next regret hits in sunlit rooms. Regret. Cheap OLEDs get crushed in bright rooms. OLED's biggest weakness has always been peak brightness. Premium OLEDs from LG, Sony, and Samsung in 2026 have made significant progress, with high-end models reaching 1,000 to 2,000 nits of peak brightness for HDR content. Cheap OLEDs often top out at 400 to 600 nits. Fine for dim rooms, completely inadequate for daytime viewing in rooms with large windows. Forum users in R4K TV have posted countless complaints about budget OLEDs looking washed out during morning and afternoon TV watching. The mechanism is panel design. Higher brightness requires more advanced cooling systems, brighter subpixels, and stronger pixel drivers, all expensive to produce. Budget OLEDs cut corners on these components to hit the lower price point. A user posting in our Costco described her new $899 OLED as amazing at night, basically useless during Sunday football games when the sun is hitting the screen. If your living room has windows facing east, south, or west, a cheap OLED will disappoint you during the brightest hours of your TV viewing day. The store demo room had controlled lighting. Your living room doesn't. The next regret is mechanical regret 4. The cooling system problem most buyers don't know exists. OLED panels generate heat. A lot of it. Premium OLEDs use advanced heat dissipation systems, graphite layers, heat sinks, and sometimes active cooling to manage thermal stress across the panel. Budget OLEDs often skip or simplify these systems to reduce manufacturing cost. The result? Forum users in OLED and Homotheater have documented thermal-related issues in budget OLEDs, including visible temperature gradients across the screen, accelerated pixel degradation in hotter zones, and panel fatigue developing within 18 to 30 months. The mechanism is straightforward. Old organic compounds degrade faster at higher temperatures. Without proper cooling, the panel essentially ages itself unevenly. A user posting an R4K TV shared photos of his 14-month-old budget OLED, showing visible discoloration patterns where the internal components ran hottest. Repair? Replacing an old panel costs nearly as much as buying a new TV. The fix is brand discipline. Premium OLEDs from LG, C-Series, G-Series, Sony, Bravia A-Series, and Samsung S95 series have documented cooling system designs with proven longevity track records. Budget brands typically don't publish thermal management specifications because they don't have premium systems to advertise. If this kind of breakdown is helping your buying decisions, smash that subscribe. I drop these every Tuesday and Friday. The next regret is the most overlooked. Regret 5. The color volume disaster stores don't show you color volume, the technical specification that separates great OLEDs from mediocre ones, and almost nobody mentions it in store demos. Premium OLEDs from LG and Sony with QD-OLED or WOLED technology cover roughly 95 to 99% of the DCI-P3 color space and maintain that color accuracy across a wide range of brightness levels. Budget OLEDs typically cover 85 to 92% of DCI-P3, and their color accuracy drops dramatically at high brightness levels. Forum users in R4K TV have flagged this constantly. The picture looks fine at low brightness in dim rooms. As you brighten the picture for daytime viewing, colors start looking flat, washed out, and muddy. The mechanism is what panel engineers call color volume compression. Cheap OLEDs sacrifice color performance at high brightness to maintain acceptable peak brightness numbers on the spec sheet. The result is a TV that looks amazing on dark cinematic content but flat on everyday viewing. A retiree posting in Homotheater described his budget OLED as great for movies, weirdly muted for cooking shows and game shows. The store demo only showed dark cinematic content. Your living room doesn't. The next regret hits at every software update. Regret 6. The smart software that ages out within 2 years. Smart TV software is one of the most underrated factors in long-term TV satisfaction. Premium OLEDs from LG, Samsung, Tizen, and Sony Google TV receive consistent firmware updates for 5 to 7 years, adding new streaming app compatibility, gaming features, and security patches. Budget OLEDs often use older or proprietary smart platforms that stop receiving updates within 18 to 30 months. Forum users in Lord Cutters have documented this pattern across multiple budget OLED brands. The TV still works as a display. The streaming apps start failing. Netflix updates break compatibility. Disney Plus refuses to load. HBO Max becomes unstable. The smart features you paid for slowly disappear. The fix is what reviewers call an external streamer. Plugging in an Apple TV 4K, a Roku Ultra at $99, or a Google Chromecast with Google TV at $49 to $99 essentially replaces your TV's failing smart software. But that's another $100 to $150 the store never mentioned. A user posting in Fatter 4K TVs described his 3-year-old budget as an expensive monitor that needed a streaming box duct-taped to the back to be functional. 2 more regrets. Regret 7. Repair costs that make cheap OLED a disposable product. Here's the truth, manufacturers don't put it on the box. OLED repair costs are catastrophic. A failed OLED panel, whether from burn-in, dead pixel clusters, panel separation, or accidental damage, typically costs $1,000 to $1,800 to replace, often more than the original purchase price of a budget OLED. Yale Appliance and major repair networks have consistently reported that OLED TVs are essentially disposable products outside of the manufacturer's warranty period. The manufacturer warranty typically covers 1 year, sometimes 2 with credit card extensions. After that, you're on your own. Premium OLEDs from LG and Sony have established repair networks and replacement panel availability. Budget OLEDs often don't, meaning when your $899 OLED fails in year 3, Your only realistic option is throwing it away and buying another one. Forum users enrolled have posted heartbreaking stories of 24-month-old budget OLEDs failing with no economic repair path. The cost per year math gets brutal. A $899 OLED that lasts 3 years costs $300 a year. A $1,799 LG C-Series OLED that lasts 8 years costs $225 a year. You're paying less per year for the premium TV. The cheap option is actually the expensive option over time. Now, the biggest regret of all. Regret 8. The 2026 OLED generation has built-in obsolescence. Here's the twist nobody talks about when you're walking out of Costco's with that boxed cheap OLED. The 2026 OLED market is shifting fast. Premium OLED technology has fragmented into MLA, micro lens array, QD-OLED, quantum dot OLED, and emerging tandem OLED panels for high brightness applications. Each generation arrives roughly every 12 to 18 months, with significant improvements in brightness, color volume, and longevity. The cheap OLEDs hitting warehouse clubs in 2026 are typically using older panel generations, often 2 to 3 years behind current premium technology. This means your $899 budget OLED today is essentially the equivalent of buying a 2023 panel at a 2026 price point. The depreciation curve is steep. Resale values on cheap OLEDs are crashing faster than almost any consumer electronics category. A budget OLED purchased for $899 today is worth roughly $250 to $400 on Facebook Marketplace within 2 years, and roughly $100 to $200 within 4 years. The fix is the easiest decision on this entire list. Before buying any OLED TV, ask yourself one question. Am I buying a premium OLED from LG, Sony, or Samsung that will deliver true OLED picture quality, proper burn-in protection, adequate brightness, and reliable software support? Or am I buying a cheap OLED that uses inferior panel technology, lacks burn-in protection, can't compete in bright rooms, and will become disposable within 3 to 4 years? If your budget is under $2,200, you're often better served buying a premium 55-inch OLED from LG C-Series for around $400 to $100, or a high-end 65-inch mini-LED LCD from Sony or Samsung in the $800 to $1,000 range. Avoid the cheap OLED branding trap. The premium tier delivers the picture quality you imagined when you saw the word OLED. The budget tier delivers regret. 8 regrets. Hundreds of dollars in wasted spending if you let cheap OLED branding fool you in the warehouse club aisle. Now I want to know, which regret hits you the hardest? Number 2 with the burn-in? Number 5 with the color volume? Or number 8 with the obsolescence trap? Drop the number in the comments. Next video, I'm exposing 4 soundbar brands that quietly destroy budget OLED audio setups, including one premium name that costs $899 and underperforms a $200 alternative. Print this list. Skip the cheap OLED trap. Watch your money stay in your pocket.